All right, we're doing an upload in regards to DNA, and I'm going to go to a couple of images. Okay, go ahead and go to. Okay, so notice how a DNA strand looks like two threads that are entwined together, making up some information on the human being. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I am going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm going to leave it here while I read a part of a book that I'm reading called Not of One Blood. And I am going to be reading in regards to blood types. Okay, it's common knowledge that the blood is grouped into 4 types: A, B, AB, and O. Each type is also classified by an Rh factor, either positive or negative, which makes 8 different blood types. Each type is produced by a specific gene. The blood types are so different that if one type of blood is transfused into a person with a different type, it can result in death. Okay, that's why it is so important to be able to identify. Okay, does the Bible identify who's who according to their blood? No, it does not. Unfortunately, God likes to identify according to flesh and bones. So let's go ahead, and this is why when people say, you know, oh, you're my blood brother, or you're, you know, we're blood or whatever, no, that's absolutely not true. And God doesn't even use that as well. Okay, the word blood was never used in the Bible to convey the idea of one who is a relative or biologically related. Instead, it uses words like flesh and bone, or bone and flesh, to convey the idea of biological relations. And I will give a couple of examples of how God describes people according to flesh and bone. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to my notes, and I'm going to read a couple of other scripture as well that goes along with it, but for right now I am going to, let's go ahead and read Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. I read that in my first video upload, but let me go ahead and go back to a couple of other. Genesis 2:23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. So as we can see here is an example of how the identification of another person is used, scripturally speaking, in regards to bone and flesh, or flesh and bones. Let's go ahead and read another couple of scripture in regards to the bone and the flesh in identifying people. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Genesis 29:14. And Laban said to him, he was talking to Jacob, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. Judges chapter 9 verse 2. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. Samuel chapter 5 verse 1 and 1 Chronicles chapter 11 verse 1. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spoke, saying, behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. 2 Samuel 19:12. Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 30. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. And of course, they are talking about the brethren of the Adamic man. Okay, remember, Adam, the word Adam simply means man, and more specifically means God's children, the Adamic race. How did they become one flesh? Well, we are going to get into how Adam and Eve became one flesh in the next video upload, where we are going to be specifically talking about Sacred semen, some people call it, but let's go ahead and move on to number 4, or I think 5. But anyways, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.